What are some of the most useful metrics for a Scrum Master to measure, and why? Okay, before we dive any deeper, some of you will be going, well, clearly it's velocity. So let's tackle that, and then we'll look at some others. Velocity, if we ignore what the Agile world says it, really we're talking about speed and direction. If you cast back to high school physics, or wherever we were taught it, it's been a while, we're not only talking about the speed at which an object is moving, but also the direction it's moving. You can go as fast as you like in a circle, your velocity is 0. So what we're talking about when it's a team's velocity is how quickly they're adding value, and we use effort as a proxy for value, to the product. That sounds great. And it is. It's a really useful measure if your organisation isn't going to beat your team up with it. So it is in the list. Absolutely, we want to include velocity, but it comes with a little bit of a health warning. How is it going to be used? If you give your leaders a number about your team's work, how are they going to use it? And best will in the world, they will get their hands on it. So I will include velocity as one of the things to keep an eye on. It's not part of Scrum anymore. That's a common misunderstanding. Nothing wrong with it when it's used well, but it has great potential to cause you pain down the line. Use it with caution. Other ones that are interesting. Actually, we'll stick with velocity for a second. The rate of change of your velocity. Are you improving? So velocity is often talked about as 40 points a sprint, 30 points a sprint, whatever. Points per sprint. Think about as well, how quickly does that change over time? Are they going from 40 points a sprint to 20 points to 60 points, or is it 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40 ad infinitum? Neither of those are good examples. Okay, but looking at that and finding a way of measuring out over the last few sprints, the last iterations, how quickly is that changing? Ideally, we want a stable velocity. That gives us the predictability for the team, and slowly increasing. That's showing that for the same time frame, they can actually deliver more effort. So the rate of change of velocity is an interesting one I've used in the past, and it really moves away from the problems of velocity because we're not talking about the numbers, we're talking about how stable they are. Which leads me to a third one, predictability. Part of Scrum's approach is to create a predictable delivery tool in a complex world. Okay? It's not easy, and anybody who gets predictability of 100% is very lucky, or may not be fully truthful. So this one is often measured by taking how much we actually delivered in story points, quite probably, divided by how much we thought we would deliver, all turned into a percentage. So 100% is we delivered exactly what we thought we would. And that's great if that happens once, maybe twice in a row. But after that, are they pushing themselves? Is the team challenging itself, or is it coasting? Or are they just making the numbers up because somebody's asked them to report a measure that they see no use in? So it becomes an interesting one. It will fluctuate around the 100 mark. Sometimes it'll be under, sometimes it'll be over that 100%, because sometimes things go wrong and they'll bite off more than they'll chew and whatever. And some things it will go swimmingly and they do better than they thought they could. And that's good because it's telling us, hopefully, if it's happened consistently over time, that they are steadily improving. So predictability is a very interesting one in my world. Teams. Team satisfaction. You'll often call team happiness index and things like that. I'm not as bothered about whether they're happy, I'll be honest, because happiness isn't necessary for a great team, but they do need to be satisfied. They need to know that they have a purpose and that they're allowed the autonomy to solve the problems that they want. Some people will say that's synonymous with happiness. I would say satisfaction is a better word for that. So this can be measured however you choose with your team, but what we're looking for is, does it stabilise? And if it does dip, is it an understandable dip? Often done out of 5, 1 to 5. You will find that your team's steady state lands where it lands. People get really pent up about, oh, but we're not a 5. But maybe your team is naturally a 3. And that's okay. It is not about comparing it with all the other teams. It's looking at your team and understanding who they are and where they are. And a 3 may be amazing. You catch me on a good day and you might get a 4 out of me. Most days I might be a 3.5. Okay? I'm not unhappy. I'm not dissatisfied. However, I'm not shouting from the rooftops, so you ain't getting 5. Okay? If you've got team members like that, accept a slightly lower number. Over time, that line will appear as to where they are. Below that, we have concerns. Why? Why are people becoming more dissatisfied? Okay. Above that, great. What allowed us to get there? Is that something that we can keep? Is it sustainable? Or was it just that somebody brought John donuts? Gluten-free, please. Team happiness, team satisfaction becomes a really useful measure for us because it tells us the impact of the environment on our team, the impact of ourselves on our team, potentially. Okay, to understand, to start looking out for things that may trip them up, to seek ways to improve how they feel, and that all comes together with everything else we're doing to really deliver a great product. So there's a few measures and metrics that are really useful. They're very simple and they're deliberately so. We don't want to interfere with the team and how they're doing. There are many, many other measures that you can use. Okay, some of them more technical, some of them more people, but for me, they're a good starting point. They give us a good idea of how the team is doing overall. Is it stable? Is it improving? Are they pulling together to create a great team and a great product? If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.